أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Apologies for the slight delay. Welcome back today to today's first lesson of the year, to the Idgham lesson. I hope you have had a wonderful break and I hope it's a blessed new start to the new year. Jazakumullah for arriving on time and waiting so patiently. So we will begin just before we start with our daily prayer as we do. Just a quick reminder that you are inshallah all in wuzu, that you are wearing clean clothes, have your heads covered, that you are in a quiet place, and if possible that a parent is present. And do also please make sure that you enter the rooms with your correct ID, okay? Because that will ensure that you are assigned to your correct breakout rooms, okay? So we will start with our opening prayer. So let's have GB2204. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Matiku.
Alhamdulillah, that's wonderful to hear. So we're going to start with Dawood, Tasmiyah, and then the opening prayer.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected.
MashaAllah, beautiful. And then Tasmiyah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful.
Excellent, well done. And then the opening prayer. Are you okay to read it by yourself or would you like me to read it?
I'm okay to read it by myself.
Sure.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Lord, expand my mind and make my task easy for me.
MashaAllah, beautiful. And then can you read the reference for me?
Taha verses 26 to 27.
Well done. And do you know what Taha stands for?
It's a chapter.
Fantastic. Well done, MashaAllah. It's a surah, okay? And that's the name of the surah or the chapter. Okay, Surah Taha, or chapter Taha, okay? Super, well done. Jazakallah for the beautiful recitation. That is. Oh. Okay, Dex. So let's quickly have a look at what we are going to do today. So Alhamdulillah, we started just about on time. So for the next 10 or so minutes, we are going to look at a new rule, okay? And we're going to introduce the rule of Idgham, okay? Which you will then later on focus throughout the week. Then inshallah at 5:15, we will go off into our breakout rooms where we will practice Surah Al-Araf, verses 192 to 197. And then after that, inshallah, at 5:45, we will come back together as a whole cohort. Please make sure that you come back to the main session where I will set you your homework, and we will formally conclude with our concluding prayer. Okay, so let's move on to today's lesson then. So as mentioned earlier, we're going to start a new topic, okay? We're going to introduce the rule of Idgham, okay? So just a quick recap. Over here, you can see a symbol, okay? They look like a fatha sign, except there are two, okay? So we've got two strokes that are sitting on top of a letter, and we know that that's called a fathatayn, okay? Over here next to it, you can see again two strokes, but this time they are sitting below a letter, okay? And that's called a kasratayn, okay? And over here in the third box, you can see we've got again two symbols and they are sat on top of a letter, okay? And it's a Dhamma sign and then an inverted kind of Dhamma, but they're two strokes, and this is called a Dhammatain, okay? And we've looked at these three symbols before. Now, all these three symbols, they can be categorized under the name Tanween, okay? So the Fathatain, the Kasratain, and the Dhammatain, they are all Tanween, okay? They are Tanween symbols. And when we have these symbols appear, we make a nasal sound. So when we recite the Holy Quran and we've got any of these Tanween appear, then there is a nasal sound that we make. Similarly, over here, you can see a Noon Sakin, okay, with the schoon on top of the Noon. Now, when you have a Noon Sakin, there is also a nasal sound that is produced when you recite the Holy Quran, okay? So when you've got a Tanween or a Noon Sakin, okay, a nasal sound of some sort is made. So let's have a listen to how the Noon Sakin and the Tanween are read when they come in the Holy Quran, what sounds they make. So over here you can see in the red oval here that you can see in the red circle here, you can see there is a Noon Sakin, okay? So there will be a nasal sound that's produced here. And I'm going to recite it for you, and I want you to listen to what kind of sound is being made, okay? So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Okay, so I've got this Noon Sakin and I made a sort of nasal sound, okay? So that was one type that I made here. Let's have a look at another text, okay? And let's see what sounds, nasal sounds are being made here. So over here, I've got a kasratain, okay? So I know there's going to be a nasal sound that's going to be produced here. So I will recite this. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. Okay. And then over here, if we move further down, if I can just grab my highlighter. So if we move further down here, سيصلى نارا ذات لهب. Okay. And then finally over here at the bottom, this last verse, في جيدها حبل من مسد. Okay, so over here I've got a Dhammatain, okay, so a nasal sound was produced here, and I've got a Noon Sakin, okay, so another type of nasal sound was produced here. Okay, and they all sound a little bit different, okay? So let's have a look at a few more examples. So if we have a look over here where my hand is or where my cursor is, okay? فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Okay, again here on this lam, I've got a Dhammatain, so a nasal sound was produced, okay? So again, what I want you to focus on is on what sound is being produced, okay? Moving on over here. يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم. Okay, so at the beginning over here where you can see the highlighted, there is a dal with the kasratain. So again, a nasal sound was produced here. Similarly over here, there is a ta with a fathatain. And again, a nasal sound was produced there. Moving forward. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Okay, so we've got a kasra down here underneath the ta, underneath the tal marbuta, and then over here on the ra that you can see highlighted, we've got a fatha down. Okay, and again, a type of nasal sound was produced there. Moving on. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Okay. Oh, so we've gone through a few examples of what it can sound like when there is a tanween or a nun sakin, and we know that whenever there is a nun sakin or a tanween, some sort of nasal sound is made, okay? But what type of nasal sound is made is quite different, as you heard me recite, okay? So in order to know what type of nasal sound we need to make, there are a set of rules that we need to follow, okay? So like we heard just now, there are different nasal sounds, and a set of rules will tell us what the nasal sound is going to be, okay? Now, how do we find that out? Well, the next letter after the nun sakin or the tanween will tell us what type of nasal sound it is that we need to make, okay? So whenever you've got in the Holy Quran, whenever you've got a tanween letter or a nun sakin letter, the letter that comes right after it will tell us what type of nasal sound we need to make, okay? But this, inshallah, we will explore further in the coming up lessons, okay? So, but just for now, what we need to remember is that when there is a tanween or there is a nun sakin, we make a nasal sound, and how we decide what nasal sound we need to make is by looking at the letter that comes after the tanween or the nun sakin. So it's very important that we look at the letters that are coming after. Okay, and inshallah tomorrow we will look at a group of these rules of nun sakin and tanween, which we call idgham. Okay, so the rule is called idgham.